There are 1,000 stories around the world about the Bermuda Triangle, but there is one number almost nobody mentions. 60,000, right at this moment, inside this triangle, that many people sleep, cook, go to office, and grow old. Their homes sit right beside the very water whose video gives you goosebumps, and the stranger part is that many of them are descendants of the passengers from those lost ships, the ones that shattered against the rocks here, and whose crew chose to stay behind instead of returning. The whole world knows the Bermuda Triangle as a graveyard, yet right in the middle of that graveyard stands a whole nation. The question is, how do people survive in the middle of a place the world considers cursed? And why did they choose to stay even after surviving? To find the answer, you first need to understand how isolated this place is. Bermuda is not an island hugging any mainland coast. It stands completely alone in the heart of the Atlantic Ocean. To the west, the nearest land is the American coast, nearly 1,050 kilometers away. And if you set sail toward the east, you will have to cross 4,800 kilometers of open sea before your feet touch land again in Africa. In between, there is nothing. Just water, wind, and rolling waves extending to the horizon. In the middle of this vast void, Bermuda's total area is just over 50 square kilometers, roughly equivalent to taking one of our cities and dividing it into 6 parts, with Bermuda being just one of those pieces. The truth underneath this tiny piece of land is even stranger. Bermuda is not an ordinary island raised out of the ocean. It is the top of a massive volcano whose base lies 4,300 meters beneath the Atlantic seabed. After the volcano went extinct, corals, snails, and marine sediments accumulated over ages, creating a limestone blanket nearly 60 meters thick. This means the ground people build their homes on today is actually the fossilized remains of billions of marine creatures. Hidden around this dead mountain is something that is no mystery, yet it has been wrecking ships for hundreds of years, a strange wall of coral reefs. Locals call them shipbreaker rocks because they rise almost to the surface and easily shatter ships. While regular corals stay deep underwater, the rocks here rise right to the water level, held at that exact height by accumulating algae. These rocks are much harder than typical coral. Once a wooden ship hits them, it stands no chance. Today, the skeletons of over 300 ships sleep at the bottom of the surrounding waters. Yet, here lies the twist of history. These deadly reefs actually gave Bermuda its first human inhabitants. In 1609, a terrifying storm pushed the English ship Sea Venture onto these coral walls. The ship broke apart, but the crew survived. That single event transformed the entire island. Standing on the hills of Bermuda, the first thing you notice is not sky-scraping buildings, but thousands of gleaming white roofs sparkling in the sun. From a distance, they look purely decorative, but those roofs are the island's lifeline. Every roof is built with stepped slopes, carved with narrow channels. When it rains, water cascades down the steps, flows through the channels, and drains into a massive storage tank hidden beneath the house. By law, every house must be built with a cistern proportional to its roof area, because every drop of rain from the sky is a precious resource. The white color isn't for style either. Limestone paint reflects sunlight, keeps the water clean, keeps the house cool, and the weight of the stone holds the roof down during hurricanes. One roof, 4 functions. Yet this isn't modern technology developed in a lab. It is the result of quiet observation by the island's earliest settlers. They realized they couldn't change the island, but they could learn to live with it. People from our coastal villages, surrounded by water yet pulling up salty water from tube wells, understand this struggle instantly. The only difference is that Bermuda turned the solution into law. Water management is just one side of the story. The rules for surviving on a tiny island don't end there. Since 1951, Bermuda has enforced a 1-car per household rule. Tourists visiting from outside cannot rent private cars. Imagine that. At a time when major global cities were filling up with cars, this island made the exact opposite choice. As a result, the rarest sound on Bermuda's narrow streets today isn't the roar of an engine, but the gentle hum of scooters drifting through the trees and the distant blast of a ferry horn. Because there is no way to expand land, no major factories, and no vast farmland. Almost everything on store shelves arrives by sea. From rice to medicine, nails to school notebooks. Coastal communities know this reality all too well. When launches are cancelled for 2 days due to a storm, the market empties quickly. The people of Bermuda must calculate that reality all year round. Even so, they have stayed. After the day's work, they return to the sea. Some cast fishing lines, some rowboats, others sit silently gazing at the horizon. To them, this water is not a wall, but the address of most of their life's memories. Yet, in these very waters, events have occurred over the years that no one has been able to fully explain. Christopher Columbus himself was the first witness to the anomalies here. His ship's compass needle stopped pointing north and began spinning wildly. Even today, traditional compasses occasionally get confused here, with 2 compasses placed side by side pointing in different directions. Scientists suspect magnetic minerals embedded in the underwater seabed, commonly found around volcanic islands. Now imagine an era before GPS, when a sailor's only trust was that single needle. If that needle lies, there is no way to know which way land lies. However, not every story of a wrecked ship here ended in tragedy. Many who live in Bermuda today are descendants of passengers from those destroyed ships. The ocean tried to swallow them, but instead of returning, they made that very rock their home. 400 years later, that single decision stands as white roofs and an extraordinary realm built upon the ocean. Perhaps the biggest mystery of the Bermuda Triangle isn't the lost ships. The real mystery is how a group of people standing right in the middle of water the world calls cursed decided that this rock would be called home. Perhaps a place's value lies not in its size or its wealth, but in how fiercely human beings hold on to it.